A stable meta in the finals is boring. That's why people love it when teams like Knives Hammer Brisket shake things up in Pro League with a sledgehammer and a grapple, or when Ruby Labubu almost eliminated Space Station Gaming in closed qualifiers for the major. But if you've been watching the partnered pro teams, you might think that everyone's just running the same copy-paste loadouts every time, right? You couldn't be more wrong. My name is Ardy, and I'm the head coach for Team Secret, one of the top teams in the finals, and I'm also a full-time esports commentator. So if you like the finals and you like esports, make sure you subscribe, because today we're breaking down the Vanishing Bomb, how it's seeing a massive rise in pick rate since Season 8 started, what it's replacing, and how pro teams are making it work. This video isn't sponsored, but if you like what I do and want to support my team, check out the Team Secret bundle in the finals. Every purchase directly supports me and the players. Thank you so much, and on with the video. Like I said at the beginning, if you've been paying attention, the meta in the finals has been pretty stable since Season 8 launched. The compositions are defined and predictable, but the smallest shifts in balance can completely change how teams think about their utility. And this is exactly what's been happening over the last month or so since PHL Season 2 began. Now, the primary comp itself hasn't changed. It's still HML, and heavies are still the foundation of every team comp, typically running the SA-1216 or the Shack 50, with the BFR notably absent since it's restricted for use in the major. Historically, the heavy gadget pool has almost never changed. Dome Shield, RPG, and C4 are the backbone of every heavy lineup, with the odd barricade here and there. Mediums are the all-rounder of the current meta. You'll see a lot of FAMAS and FCAR usage, with more and more CBO1 repeaters popping up if teams still want to play with poke damage. Occasionally, you'll see a team throw in an AK or a pike here and there, but the gadget pool stays consistent. Jump pad, defib, and goo grenades are the unshakable core of every team comp. Nothing has changed here in months, outside of a few teams experimenting with swapping out either the defib or the goo with an APS. Lights, on the other hand, are the most experimental class in pro play. The 93R, ARN, and M11 are still popular, but the LH1 has seen a quiet comeback as poke meta remains dominant, and notably now that there's no BFR to challenge them. The default util setup, Glitch Grenade, Gateway, and H+ Infuser, has been the standard since Season 7, but that's what this video is all about, since that standard is starting to vanish. You see, when Season 8 dropped, thermal vision was completely removed from the game. It was one of the biggest shockers when the season dropped, as Embark quietly vaulted it entirely in order to give it a full rework to be reintroduced in a later season. Without thermal vision, the risk of invisibility being a complete waste is drastically reduced. There's no longer that one counter that can instantly ruin a Vanish play, which means that coordinated stealth setups are finally viable again. But it's not only thermal being out that makes this make sense. Season 8 has also given rise to a more balanced version of what most people call the poke meta. Long-range pressure is still king, and if a team isn't careful, fights can often start and end before anyone ends up in winch range. Before the BFR was confirmed to be banned in the major, some teams would set up a tandem BFR and CBO1 repeater setup that would instantly delete lights if both players hit their shots. This gave a lot of teams reason to start utilizing the Vanishing Bomb more and more in order to have a decent chance at not just being turned into coins off spawn. And even though the Heavy's BFR is now banned, a lot of mediums have still committed to the CBO1 repeater, which still allows the range and chip damage that they need to wear teams down before closing in. Ironically, this is also another shift that has naturally opened space for the Vanishing Bomb, because lights can use it to disengage or reposition their mediums safely if the enemy team does close the gap on the repeater player. On the other side of it, the lights who are trying to escape a repeater player might need to be invisible from time to time. But this isn't an entirely new setup anyway. In my past videos, I've mentioned the Vanishing Bomb, and Team Secret has actually been running Vanishing Bomb for quite a long time. Back when they were still known as Aimers Blue, Roma, in particular, was one of the first players to consistently use it back-to-back in Season 6 and before, experimenting with how invisibility could break defensive setups and buy the team a lot more surprise opening damage when starting team fights. Now, it wasn't meta-defining at the time, but it did become part of the team's playbook even before I was involved. During Season 7, when lights started moving consistently in favor of the H+ glitch gate meta, Vanishing Bomb usage dropped off almost entirely. The H+, Glitch, and Gateway trio became so ingrained in team comps that there wasn't much room left for creativity. But the players who stuck with Vanish were the ones that realized its potential, and that potential is finally being realized now in Season 8. where spawn trapping has become a lot more easily repeatable in final round format. As with everything in the finals pro scene, these developments happened for a few reasons at the same time. In addition to everything that we've already talked about, one of the biggest reasons that Vanishing Bomb is suddenly so popular again has to do with goo. Goo grenades are incredibly flexible and can lock down angles better than a dome shield in some cases, especially since so many teams got good at instantly glitching dome shields anyway. As a result, some teams have completely dropped dome on heavy in favor of barricades or doubling up on goo with their mediums, or picking up goo in place of their mediums, allowing the medium to pick a different gadget like mines or the APS. When that happens, there's no dome shield to glitch anymore, and that means one of Glitch Grenade's primary roles disappears entirely. So without dome shields in the mix, it's easier to justify swapping the Glitch Grenade for the Vanish Bomb, since that trade-off is no longer removing a key piece of offensive utility. It's adding a new layer of survivability and playmaking instead. Plus, domes are easy enough to deal with, since most of the time, both heavies drop their domes at the same time, and it's just a matter of winching. It's a subtle shift, but it completely changes how lights and mediums work together. Instead of being the disruptor that opens fights, the light becomes the enabler that resets or repositions the team when things get chaotic. Not only that, but it allows for so many teams to be able to escape getting spawn trapped or easily cross a gap like in Fortune Stadium or Skyway Stadium, or really just anywhere that teams have a high ground hold that can make it really difficult to get through. So how can you use the Vanishing Bomb like the pro teams? Let me show you the tech that teams are using to squeeze every ounce of value out of these little purple orbs. One of the strongest ways that teams are using Vanishing Bomb right now is actually as bait. You'll see players throw a Vanish Bomb to fake a retreat or holding position, which could be incredibly useful for causing enemies to swing or pull back right into a trap. It's one of those deceptive plays that only works at high levels because it relies on your opponent reading your movement patterns and then punishing that read. But let's take a look at some more normal use cases. Obviously, with the Vanishing Bomb, you have the ability to make your entire team invisible, used in tandem with a jump pad RPG engage or a gateway engage, or just to move across cover. A lot of teams are realizing that by being invisible, they can guarantee that they're the first ones to get damage off. Remember that when you vanish your team, they're invisible for 7.5 seconds, but the light who throws the Vanish Bomb only stays invis for 6 seconds. Now, you don't need to save this for just full team engagements either. If a teammate needs to get out of a sticky situation, don't hesitate to throw it at them. With only an 18-second cooldown, there's no reason to not just keep chucking these things whenever you get them. And of course, using it on yourself seems simple enough. Disengage from a fight, reposition to a new angle, or trick your enemy into thinking that you repositioned. Light players take 7 seconds to start regenerating their health, and being invisible for 6 out of 7 seconds means that you have a much higher chance of living to fight again. So yeah, the Vanishing Bomb isn't just a niche meme pick anymore, it's genuinely become one of the most versatile tools in pro play, reshaping how teams approach rotations, defense breaks, and mid-fight resets. What used to be a style point generator for creative players is now a legitimate tactical option that can outright change the outcome of a team fight. If you're watching the PHL Grand Finals this weekend, or if you're tuning into the Major on November 28th and 29th, pay close attention to how often you see Vanish, or I guess how often you don't see Vanish, and how it subtly changes the pace of each fight. Because as this meta continues to evolve, invisibility might just become the new glue that holds coordinated teams together. If you enjoyed this and you want more deep dive analysis from the pro scene of the finals, hit subscribe. Feel free to check out my Twitch channel as well, where I'll be doing more and more coaching content live while I also finish out this season of Ranked and World Tour before I head to Sweden for the Grand Major. Thank you so much for watching, and don't worry, you'll see me around.